Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. Welcome to and welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I am here today with Kraig Heeter, and today we are going to be talking about industrial real estate. Kraig is a long-term professional here in the real estate business who does focus on industrial and commercial properties. He's got a wealth of knowledge that he is going to be sharing today. And just remember, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses to allow them to build the businesses they've always wanted and allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With all that being said, Kraig, we're super excited to have you on the show. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Stephen. I look forward to this opportunity. I love talking any and all things industrial real estate, and mostly I'm talking about most of the demand in the United States and in my market in the greater Seattle area or West Coast is distribution space, so warehousing space, and there is a manufacturing component as well, but I think anybody that talks about industrial real estate is mostly talking about distribution space.
Distribution space. Well, I'd like to get into that and learn a little bit more about what you mean by that. But before we do that, give these folks just like a little bit more about you, what got you started into real estate, how you ended up in what you're doing now. Tell us a
Sure.
little bit about that journey.
Yeah, well, it kind of started when I was playing. I was a professional touring golfer. I was playing mini tours all over North America, and I was down in Florida. I was married at the time too. I got married in college to my then high school sweetheart, and now we've been married 26 years. But I was down in Florida playing golf tournament and realized it's not what God had in mind for me for the rest of my life. So literally, since I was 12 years old, I wanted to be a professional golfer. And on my way home, driving back from Florida from Orlando to Seattle, I said, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do for a living?" Um, and basically, I worked with my limited network that I had to get some meetings. I cold called a managing director by the name of Jim Bowles, who was managing CB Richard Ellis's office in Seattle at the time, and I called him every day for about 4 months till he gave me a job. Um, and I worked my way, from the bottom in what we called back then the data bank or research position, and then I became a broker in about 2003. So here I am, 22 years in the business. I moved to Kidder Matthews 6 years after I started. I've been at Kidder Matthews. We're a West Coast boutique, privately owned, full service commercial real estate firm. We've got 22 offices, and I've been here since 2007. Became a partner in 2016, and absolutely love what I do. I mostly spend my time working with tenants and landlords on the leasing and sales of industrial properties. So we're talking, anything with a dock door, large grade level door, or that has significant power for manufacturing. That's my bread and butter, and I absolutely love it.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Wow, man, that's so awesome. I learned none of that in our previous talk before we started recording. So that is super, super interesting. So you were a touring golfer and what was that transition like when you're on tour, living out the dream that you had as a kid? And then just like, did you just wake up one day and it was like, I'm not supposed to do this anymore? Or what was that like? Was there like a specific experience or moment where you're like, I
There
gotta do
was,
something different?
yes, definitely a specific experience. So, I was a late bloomer in golf. I was an average junior player, got a chance to play at a little school called Hillsdale College, Division II, got better and better there. And then I just had the opportunity to go chase my dream. Looking back, I wasn't good enough. Um, but I quickly learned that, I mean, there's a big difference. Like we're recording this the day after the Masters finished. Okay. So
Right, right.
there's a significant difference between even when I was playing my best golf, I was like a +4 handicap. And I don't know the odds of getting there, but they're extremely low. But the guys, Rory McIlroy who won is probably a +10. So he would beat me at my very best by 6 shots around. So, um, but I played at a high level. It's kind of a funny story. So I think it cost about $60,000 for me to chase my dream. This is back 20 plus years ago, and I think I made $6,000. So, it when you compare it, I played it like if you compare it to baseball, because most people understand that. I probably played at the double A level when you really look at it. So I was a really good player, but not nearly at the level to get there. And I quickly realized that I would have had to spend another 10 years to maybe get to that level. And like I said, I was married. My wife and I wanted to start a family young. And so I was playing the Canadian Tour qualifying school in Orlando, Florida. I think I was if I remember correctly, it was 5 rounds. And after the third round, I was in the mix. I was on the border, the top 30 qualifying. And I woke up the fourth day, literally was an out of body experience. I couldn't swing the club. I was shanking the ball in the driving range. I think I gutted out like a 78, and most people be like, "Wow, 78's really good," but not when everybody's shooting 68. So I literally called my wife after that, and it was literally a sign from God that I was not supposed to do this. I literally called my wife after, mind you, wanting to be a professional golfer my whole life, and it was a complete shock to her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to finish my obligation. I'm going to play one more round, and then I'm coming home, and I'll get a job." And I didn't know what that meant, but that was my story into commercial real estate. And my dad had a small wealth management firm in Seattle, and I picked the brain of his broker that he'd used for 20 years, who helped me get a meeting. And that's how I got into the business. And I bumped along the bottom, gosh, probably 5 years, as I didn't really have a significant mentor. So I just made mistakes, kept grinding, kept showing up, and then organically my business started to grow to what it is today.
Now, so this was all instigated, like you even finding out about this industry from having that conversation you said with your father's broker at the time.
Yeah, but I didn't know anything about industrial real estate. You know, I knew a little about office probably just from my dad's perspective and his business. But by no means did I know anything about industrial real estate. In fact,
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
um, I was offered a job to work for a guy as he was an office tenant rep broker in downtown Seattle. And I'm not a huge fan of the city. I mean, I'd much rather, I like to hunt, fish, and get outside and get away, go to Eastern Washington and play. So I was not attracted to a downtown lifestyle where I'm in a parking garage in the concrete jungle. And when I got an opportunity to work in an office in Tukwila, Washington, just south of Seattle, where it was free parking because I was broke, right? I didn't have the $200 a month to pay for parking in a garage. When it was free parking and when I didn't have to work on the 20th floor of a high rise, that was super attractive to me, and I learned the industrial real estate business, kind of from the ground up.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because most people don't just start with industrial real estate. Like there's a story on usually how you get there. So that's a really interesting origin. Now, what does it take? Because you're not just a broker. You also invest in yourself. So with that, like, what does it take to succeed in industrial compared to other forms of even commercial real estate or single family, et cetera, as an investor or an agent? What's the differences there?
Well, I think a lot of the top, I was going to say top deal makers, whatever you want to call them, best in class. Everybody's different, right? But I would say the people that are successful, and whether it's residential, if you're being a top agent, if you're a top office broker, you're probably you could look at it and say there's 10 qualities or so that make a person. If you're really good at one or two, I think you can do very well. Um, and those one or two things can be different for different people. You just have to leverage that. For instance, I quickly develop trust and relationships when I get a new client, where I'm a valuable, trusted advisor. I would say faster than most.
Mm.
I also leverage my network too, so I'm constantly calling the people that I've done deals with or have relationships with, asking for referral business. And when I get those, in fact, I just got one 2 weeks ago from a general contractor who owns some buildings. I've sold a couple buildings for him, and he called me and said, "Hey, reach out to this person. We've known their family for 30 years. They have a building in Auburn, Washington, and they need a leasing broker." And I literally have instant credibility when I go and call that guy. And mind you, this guy's hounded by brokers left and right on a weekly basis, always checking in because they own multiple buildings. And I went down, met him, had instant credibility because of my referral, and got the business signed up. And it was funny. I recently it's a 30,000 square foot building, industrial building, and I got calls from three brokers in our market, and they all said, "How did you get that listing? I talked to that guy last week." And in every case, they were shocked that I was able to get the business because they felt like, they've been calling this guy for 10 plus years, thinking that they would get an opportunity. And I was able to go in there based on my reputation from the referring party and win that business. So that's kind of how um, I think you got to be good at a couple things, whether, no matter what your specialty is. And if you leverage that, then you can do very well.
What do you think is it about you that you mentioned something there about how people tend to trust you faster, um, or trust you fast, just in general. Why do you think that is? What do you think it is about you that exudes trust in others?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Well, I'm transparent. So, I'll give the good and the bad. I also have no problem saying, even though I'm in 100% commission business where I only get paid when I perform, whether a sale closes or a lease gets signed, um, I say no often. Like I'll tell a client, I wouldn't do this deal for whatever reason. If there's a concern about credit of the tenant, if their use is a concern, something like that, because in the industrial world, there's all kinds of different types of use. And say, for instance, there's a heavy trucking use on a building, an older building, that can beat the hell out of the building and really impact its value. So, when I tell a client, no, I wouldn't do that deal, they know that, holy crap, Kraig only gets paid when he does a deal. So he's really looking out for me and my family. And so little things like that really help. And then when the right deal comes along, I can usually help them with education on all kinds of different variables that, hey, this is our right deal. Let's grab this one. Let's be a dog and a bone and get it done. So those are, I would say, from that aspect, you got to be completely transparent, and not have what I'd call commission breath, right?
Sure.
So because people can smell commission breath from a mile away if you're trying to just get a deal done, and that's what I try to avoid.
So do you think that comes from a genuine care of serving your clients? Do you think that's where that ultimately comes from?
Well, I've always taken the approach that I'm going to be in this business for a long time, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So I've always tried to look at the long game. Um, and when you look at deals from a long game, it may hurt you in the short run, but I can tell you that over time it's just built. It's just built, and my business continues to grow organically. And it's probably because of that long-term view that I've been willing to take.
Absolutely. Now let's kind of go back to another topic that you had started to touch on, and then we got through an intro and have kind of gotten off in the weeds here now. But you mentioned the distribution space earlier on the show. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I would say most of the products that show up at people's houses come from somewhere. So, and a lot of it comes from overseas, whether you're buying from Amazon or there's parts for a certain thing that maybe gets assembled here in the U.S., but the parts are from overseas. And these parts come in usually via ship, from let's just in a general term say Asia, because that's where a bulk of the parts and materials come from. And they're going to come off the ports and containers and then move to a warehouse, usually in a port city. We have the port of Tacoma, which is a large western United States port, and then they go to a warehouse, get broken up, and then shipped, whether it's by rail or usually by truck these days, to other parts of the country. And so it all starts through this distribution or transportation program, and then when it say it goes to Chicago, it's going to get broken up there even more and go to stores or households, whatever it may be. So, if most people don't look around and see that vast distribution network that the United States has, but big port cities like Seattle, Portland has a small port, mostly importing vehicles. But then Long Beach is the biggest West Coast port. Um, there's ports in Mexico, Charlotte, um, and then those are some of the major markets where all our goods come in. And you're driving down the freeway and you see these big warehouses, right? The new modern warehouse, at least in our markets, 40-foot clear, um, so 40 feet under the roof deck, and inside there's typically racking of all these products that either there for a short period or long period. But distribution is a significant portion of the industrial real estate market. I'm going to say probably 90% of it is distribution. The other 10% is more manufacturing.
Really?
So yeah,
That big of a percentage?
yeah. Well, and that's mostly in our market. If you go
Okay.
to the Sun Belt, maybe it's a little different, but Amazon itself has a tremendous footprint of warehouses. I'm going to say,
Sure.
um, 100 million square feet around the country. It's probably more now. In fact, they're on another big right now. They're on another big move to get more capacity. So you could be hearing stories about Amazon taking down more warehouse space,
Sure.
in the coming months.
Well, to your point, so I used to live out in Florida, and there was a really big boom. At least I know last year it might still be going on within like the single family investing market in Ocala, Florida, because of that very reason for distribution. Because Amazon looked at and they say we've got 30 million people between Orlando, Miami, Tampa, and Jacksonville. So if we build a distribution center in the Ocala area, we can do same day shipping and improve our processes for people to live in Florida. And so they were talking about building this ginormous facility. So that's really
Yeah.
interesting to the point there.
Yeah, rooftops are critical to distribution. So the more rooftops there are in a certain area, you're more likely to have more distribution space there.
Hmm.
That's just a population um, game metric that they use, but that's to serve locally. But then you could also have a big, let's say, distribution area, let's say in northern Kentucky, and that can serve within 90 minutes, let's say, 10 major markets. So
Sure.
then you'll see in this small area, you'll see this huge distribution network because that location can get to, like you said, same day or
Right.
in Amazon's cases, within an hour depending on their strategy. But yeah,
Right.
you'll see in major cities, most of the distribution space or specific regions that can serve those major markets.
Yeah. Wow. Now, so what does day to day look like for you right now with your brokerage and working that versus looking for your own deals, et cetera?
Yep.
How does that look for you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I, I s- I'll bet you I spend 85% of my time on my own business or future business, and then probably 15% looking at deals. I'm in a deal in Anchorage, Alaska, for instance, which it seems like a weird market for people, but the cap rates there are better than they are in Seattle. You can get better value. I had a I had a client who owned some warehouses in Washington, and he sold to a national company. He was in a janitorial supply company, and he sold to a national. And then he did, a 10-year sale leaseback in all his properties on the West Coast that he owned. And one of those happened to be Anchorage, and that he ended up selling these buildings off over a time. And the last one was in Anchorage. And so he called me, and I called a guy up in Anchorage that I know and said, "Hey, what's this worth?" Then I started to look at the numbers, and I said, "Gosh, I want to buy this deal." So um, at the time, I didn't have I guess, the wherewithal to put a syndication deal together. So I just called a couple people. We created a partnership. I don't even run that deal. There's a guy out of Portland that runs it, but that was my first passive investment deal. But for instance, I'm looking at a deal up there now, and on my own deal, and then getting a group of investors together and seeing if we can make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So is that what you're planning on focusing on here, like within the next few years, and then going forward is doing more syndicate deals? Or tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. My business is very transactional, right?
Mm,
So if I'm not doing transactions, I'm not making it money. And I would, my goal is to do more and more syndications, and eventually, that's all I'm doing. But that's a long road. And what's nice about I can keep my business going and growing, and then do the syndication stuff on the side. What's great about commercial real estate, or in my case, industrial, is that I can do this for a long time. Literally, there's brokers that work part-time and make a very good living into their 70s.
mm,
And so, you could work 15, 20 hours a week and still have, key clients, or work with key investors that, have a lot of capital, and you can play this game for a long time, at your own pace. And that's what's really attractive about it.
gotcha. Yeah, for sure. So, where are you typically building these relationships, especially as you're starting to syndicate and all that? Where are you typically building those relationships?
I would say on the syndication side, some of them are clients, for
Mm,
instance, that I represent them, say they're a tenant, or they're a contractor that I know, and they have extra dollars, investment dollars to place. Like that's a perfect. You don't have to go that far. Um, you got to have good product, right? And you have to get a reputation that you're an honest, transparent individual,
sure.
especially your first few deals, because it's very hard to say, hey, can I have 100 or $250,000? I believe there's a deal here. And if they don't know that much about, the specialty, or they don't know much about the market, and that specific market, then they're really investing in you. So
Mm,
that is probably more important, initially, than the actual deal itself.
yeah, absolutely. Love that. So let me ask you this as we kind of are reaching our time and winding things down. If you were to go back to the beginning and do it all over, right? But you were able to put yourself in those shoes of coming out of professional touring, golf, and all that, and put yourself in those shoes with what you know today. What would you do different, and what would you do the same?
Well, there's a couple things that I would do different. I would have gone after bigger deals and pursued, on the brokerage side. Um, I was in a position that, I had a young family and kept having kids. My wife stopped working, and I did every deal, the small deals, and I got comfortable doing small deals.
Yeah.
I wish I would have gotten more uncomfortable and taken more risk, because I probably would have ramped up significantly faster.
Mm,
I would also probably specialize, if I was to do it all over again, on the sale side of deals. And you could even, I might even, say like a different, asset class, um, only because for instance, if you do like triple net investment deals, like, well, Walgreens is not a good example, but you could sell McDonald's, you could sell Walgreens, you could sell small strip malls. A lot of those were owned. It's changing now as they get more, bought out by institutions, but I would have done that, just because that really focuses on like individuals, or families, high net worth families that had a bunch of these assets.
yeah.
I probably would have done, looking back, going and looking at that specialty, because you could literally do it from anywhere. You could do it from, Western Montana, and be a top producer on the West Coast by cold calling and developing relationships just externally with these ownerships. I probably would have done that.
Mm, love that. And anything you would have done the same specifically that you think you did really
Um,
well?
I think that, one of the reasons people sometimes are surprised that, of my success, and I think because I'm not a super aggressive guy.
Mm,
I don't really put pressure on people to do deals or make decisions. But I think one of my qualities is I just kept showing up. There's a lot of times that I could have quit when the market in 2008 to 2010 was on its ear. A lot of people quit and got regular jobs. And I'd get up early, slog it out, and fight. So I think my grit helped me stay in the business during the downturns, and that grit is probably why I'm still here today.
Love that. Wow, that's awesome. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Kraig Heeter, we're so excited that you were able to come on and share with us today. Where can people go connect with you more if they would like to? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me at Kraig Kraig .Heeter Heeter at Kidder.com. You could also just put me in a search engine, Kraig Heeter, and my webpage will pop up at Kidder Matthews. I also started about a year ago a podcast called Deal Addicts, Legends of Commercial Real Estate, where I interview the best in class real estate brokers across the country and talk about the stories behind their deals which made them great. Um, and I'm in the social media. I'm on LinkedIn, Kraig Heeter, and I'm in X on Industrial Tilt and Instagram as well. You can look me up, Kraig Heeter, and you'll find Industrial Tilt Seattle.
And I'm telling you, folks, this guy is practically famous. His SEO is so on point. You search his name, he's the only thing that pops up on the first page. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, it's Kraig with a K, so
yeah,
I mean,
that is a fair
it's easy
point.
to find Kraig with a K.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you on the next episode. Make sure to subscribe and learn more about Investor Fuel, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for being here, Kraig.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.